Hello and welcome to the Feminine Millionaire Show. I'm your host, Polly Alexander. I'm a success coach, intuitive healer, and a passionate creative. And I believe that we all have the power to manifest magic and miracles into our life. If creating success in a spiritual, feminine, and joyful way is your goal, this show is for you. You'll understand how to overcome your past, bring your soul's greatest gifts to the world, and up-level your income, impact, joy, and happiness. Let's all rise together. Hello and welcome to this week's episode of the Feminine Millionaire Show. Gila Melamed is the Nomadic colour guru. She's a renowned colour designer and the author of the transformative book, I Am, a self-healing and self-discovery journey through fear and friendships. And she's left an indelible mark on both the design world and the realm of personal growth. Her innovative approach to colour and design has earned her consecutive Best in Customer Service awards for the last 5 years from Houzz. And now she embraces a nomadic lifestyle, traversing the landscapes of the United States and Canada, drawing inspiration from the pure beauty of nature. Through her acclaimed book, she guides readers on a profound journey of self-discovery and healing, weaving together insights from her design expertise with powerful narratives of overcoming fear and forging meaningful connections. Welcome to the show, Gila.
Thank you.
I have been diving into your wonderful book, which is available on Amazon. I downloaded it to my Kindle, and I've been immersed in this wonderful nomadic world that you've created for yourself. And I would like to start with where this started. This series is all about reinventing yourself in midlife. And I want to know, what was the prompt for you to start living this nomadic life?
It was really like a back injury that took for me two of my passion. One is a backpacking, and the other one I was a volunteer ambulance driver, and I couldn't do that anymore. And I always had the idea that, the same idea that a lot of people have. You retired, you go travel, and one late September, I had to crawl out of bed from pain. And I went and I sat on my yoga mat and I was like, I cannot wait. I cannot lose more things in my life before I will be able to give myself the dream I always wanted. And I decided that I will do whatever it will take to do it. And I started thinking outside the box. And I just finished renovating my apartment, created a beautiful space. It was hard to think that I'm going to give that away, but that was the price. And I made sure that I found the right tenant. That was very important to me. And the moment I decided, I just start rolling into the action of it. The idea was to buy an RV. I did a lot of research, but when the price of gas went up, I stopped my track because I knew it will not be wise for me financially to do it. And one day when I came back riding my bike, and my bike is usually in my car, and back then I had a Mazda CX-5, and I took out my bike and I see the space. And I stopped and I'm like, can I lay down there? And I went in and that is good. Anyway, before I got to home, I pick up my phone and call my dear friend Mike, and I say, Mike, any chance you can help me convert my car to a micro camper? He says, sure. And I would say 2 months later, I was very micro camping in a Mazda CX-5 on the road. That was really a beginning of something that I thought will just last a year. And I wasn't sure even how it's going to be. Would I like it? Well, I knew I'm going to like it. I just didn't know how much I would fall in love with it.
And how long have you been traveling like this now?
Well, around 20 months. So the first round with the Mazda CX-5 was 11 and a half months. And don't ask me how I did it. Sometimes I'm like, how the hell did I do that? It was tough. It was tough. But every time I was in nature, that's all I wanted to be. I'm originally from the state of New York. And I came back, gave my Mazda to my son, bought a minivan, and Mike again, with his kindness and his talent, helped me to convert my minivan into a camper. So at least now I can sit. Now I have much more positions to handle. And I left again December 3rd. Yeah, so I'm out of my apartment for like over now 20 months.
Wow. And I'm curious, you mentioned that you enjoyed backpacking, and I read in your book that that was part of your cultural heritage where you came from, this tradition. You're from Israel, this tradition of being in the army and then going off traveling to see the world. So, this passion for traveling had been in you from an earlier age. But what mindset challenges did you have to overcome in your 50s to say yes to this wild, unconventional life?
Well, I cannot explain it, but even as a child, I just felt that I born to be in the wild. In a very, very early age, it was something that was always like in me. So I don't think it was just like giving it to myself, just having the courage to try, give myself a chance. And that's what I really was giving myself a chance to let myself have a dream that I always wanted and see where it take me. Today, living in a four-wall home, sitting in front of a sofa, it's terrifying me. Let me go into the wild, like in places that I have no idea the most wilderness, and I'm comfortable.
I've been immersed in your world as I've been reading your book this afternoon. So I have a sense of just the power of being in nature. But I'd love
Mm.
you to explain it to the people listening who haven't read your book yet. What does it feel like for you? What's that experience of being in wild nature?
Well, I think first of all, I need to explain that writing was never my thing. This is a new discovery for me, myself. It's almost, I call it like a treasure box that I found inside of me. My son, explained it one time. He said, like, it's feel like nature right through her. I read my own writing and like, who is this one? Who wrote that? So it's almost my inner self is coming like when I'm in nature, like almost I feel like I would love to bottle up that feeling that I have when I am immerse myself purely in nature, disconnected from everything. There is love to the universe, love to myself, something that I for 50 years I never had before. Love to everything around me. If I can bottle it up and just spread it all around, I feel like peace will come to this earth. It's just amazing. And I would love every person to experience that beauty, that pure peace and love. I would say this is the most I can connect with myself and the most that I feel myself in nature. And every time I come back, I call it civilization. I'm almost like throwing off balance. It's like, whoa, and I need to remind myself, no, 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 it's temporary. You'll go back. Don't worry, you'll go back.
It's almost like you're returning to the place where you can be most you and where
Hmm.
you can connect with these spiritual virtues of peace and
Yes,
love.
yes. And actually, purposely, the last 2 years, I disconnect myself from all news. I don't listen to, I feel like in a way I'm ignorant about what we're happening, but I feel it's like the most healthy things that I can give myself because I wish I can make a difference, you know, other places, but I can't. It's too far. But I feel like the moment I disconnect myself from that noise, I'm able to connect to the person next to me, to give the love and the energy that who I am to the person next to me. And that's the difference that I can make.
Thank you for sharing this because it's something I'm passionate about, that people disconnect from the news. And I love the way that you linked it to it allowing you to have more presence.
Yes, yes. What is allowing me is taking away a judgment that has been forced on me in so many ways. Because for me, we all the same. Honestly, thank God we look different. Inside, we are all the same. We may be experienced differently. Each of us have trauma. Trauma is just part of life. And we all experience differently. We all express it differently. But we pretty much, when it comes to emotion and feelings, we all the same. So when I disconnect myself, I'm able to just look at a person who they are without the noise. And I'm calling it noise because when I go to nature, there is a silence that is pure and it is so, I cannot even explain how this silence is so enriching my life. But it's funny, right? It's silence. That silence is, in a way, is the music of nature. And that give me the opportunity to see a person who they are and themselves and not where they come from, what, their culture or anything like that. Because that for me, it's important, but it's not who they are necessarily. They have their own soul that I would love to connect to that with no judgment.
Mm. And I totally resonate with that love of peace and silence.
Mm,
I live in the countryside on this little island in the Mediterranean, and I feel like one of the greatest gifts is that sense of peace.
mm,
And sometimes you can't hear anything, and I think that's so precious in the modern world. So rarely do we have that. Or maybe you can hear
yes.
the birds, or I can hear the sea, or I can hear the breeze. And it feels so rich. This podcast is all about living an abundant life. And I
Yes.
feel like these experiences, these are so abundant for us and so enriching.
Yeah. I mean, last year, I was in Jasper and I went up Whistler Mountain in Jasper. And over there, there was like a one spot that I was able to escape all, the people. I came early. I usually try to go early. So, and over there, I have to say, there was a pure, pure silence. There was no bird. There was no nothing. It was like so unique and so powerful to be in that moment. And the beauty of the scenery was like breathtaking. But I always try to go back to that moment of that pure silence that it's a gift. It's very rare that you can find that. Over there, there was nothing, and it was powerful.
Yeah. I think a lot of people have this dream of taking either a sabbatical from their work or business or going off traveling. And you mentioned that you rented out your home. Are you working as you travel as well?
So I do have a passive income. I am on a budget. On a very, very tight budget. And I do, if I have clients that reach out to me to do color consultation, I will do it. In the beginning, I was hesitating because I'm remotely. How would I be able to do that? And the first few ones, I was like, listen, I never did it remotely. Give it a try. If it's not working, it's a free service. And I was actually very, very surprised how successful it was. And I'm contributing it to the fact that if I'm not present in a space, when I do my business, when I consult my clients, is I come from a place of feelings, of emotion. One of the reasons I earn those rewards because I take a lot of pride of adjusting myself to my clients. I adjust my eyes to their a way of seeing. And I'm the why it's called the color guru, because I'm here to teach them how to experience colors, how to see colors. It took me many years to understand that I have a beautiful gift of understanding the emotion of colors and are able to see the undertones of colors, what people not able to do. So by asking my clients the right question, letting them express what they feel about certain colors, it is a very successful process that it's fun. I'm actually, as I say, I'm surprised, but it's working very, very well. So when I have my color swatches with me, so when people reach out to me, as I say, as long as you're aware that I'm on the road, that you are flexible with time, I will help. And I do send them big swatches of colors. Sometimes they will. That's enough for them to go on their own, and sometimes we continue and talking about each color. We'll go on a video chat, of course, and I will. From that, just by creating an honest conversation and creating a connection with my clients, it's a very successful process, even remotely. I was actually understanding about myself that the way that I'm in nature, I'm able to be the most that I am, the inner self of me, the true self of me coming in nature. It's come when I'm doing design work. That's where I feel like the most that I can be myself in those two worlds, the world of color and the world of nature. And I have Substack. Substack is where I blog, it's my main blog. And it's important to me that my writing will be free for everyone to read, because if I can reach to another woman and put her on her journey of self discovery, that's the most beautiful gift I can give myself. But I'm trying to do it as a way of living and putting some gas in my car so I can go to my next destination. So there is an option of $5 a month to support me, or $50 a year. And in exchange to that, I do take videos, short videos, as I go and travel. My subscriber, that are paid subscriber, do have a glimpse into my world through my videos on top of my writing.
So we'll link to that in the show notes as well. If you want to explore a color consultation with Gila, you can find the link in the notes. Or
Yes.
if you want to follow along on her journey and get the behind the scenes.
Well, and I have my book, right? That's
And your
another.
book, which I thoroughly recommend everybody reads, because that's a
Thank
whole
you.
year of travels in one place to dive deep into. And I'm really, really enjoying it. You write so beautifully and
Thank
so
you.
eloquently and very evocatively. I think you paint pictures in the mind of the reader. So it's like we're there with you, experiencing the emotional journey, the inner journey, and the
Yeah.
outer landscape as well. And I feel that you bring the two together so beautifully. It's wonderful that you discovered this hidden ability later
Yes.
in life.
Yes, isn't it? And so I'm encouraging everyone to, even though, like me, in your mid 50s, give chance to new development into your life. You never know where it will take you.
How did the writing start? Was it a calling from within you, or was it people telling you should write? I'm curious.
Well, it started that before I left, a few of my friends asked me to blog. And I'm like, really? I mean, you're asking me the impossible. English is not my first language. I actually have learning disabilities and I'm dyslexic. I mean, you're asking me really something that I never did before. But the more people ask me, and also, one of the posts that I posted like a while ago about a journey into my soul, I know it sounds crazy. Believe me, for a long time, it felt like I'm going crazy. There was a very strong voice outside of me forcing me, and I'm not kidding, forcing me to do it. And the fact that it was almost like it is forced me to share it. That's the part for me that I'm still stunned by myself. I'm a very private person. And it just was like, no. So I posted on a few solo women travel Facebook group. And from the beginning, like really into the first month, I got encouragement to continue writing, appreciation of my honesty in my writing. Things like you my new favorite writer. I'm like, who are you talking about? Like, like really? More and more as I was continue, this is a book, this is and it took me 8 months to really come to realization that okay, there is a message there and I should take it. Now, another thing that happened in so many ways, I'm a graphic designer. And if I had to go and pay for someone to create this book will never be. I don't have that financial ability to pay for someone. So it almost feel like all the skills that I acquired through the years brought me to this book, because this book is self-published, self-designed, all layout, everything is just all of it is me.
I just want to recap on what you just shared. So it's like your whole life, it was preparing you to
Mm.
publish this book. It's like throughout the different decades of your life, you were getting the skills, getting the experience that would then make you ready to
Yes.
create this book.
Yes, it's really like feel like it does really feel this way, honestly. And then sometimes like, it feel like who I am to write a book and to put that out there. But it's really happened to me. I did not even in the closest dream in my life, ever thought that I will write or published or will be where I am in this time in my life.
Incredible, incredible. I think your story is so inspiring. And when you talked about this voice that literally said, you have to do this, I'm curious, where do you think that comes from?
Last year was a journey of healing. This year is absolutely a journey into my soul. And I'm more and more trying to understand. And I read a lot. So I read Conversation with God with Neil Donald Walsh. And that's where I start to understand that what I experienced with that voice, that was my inner voice, my higher self telling me to do what I need to do. But it took me many months to come to that understanding, to come to accept that in so many ways. It's also like so much out of the box that I used to live, but I always like to push myself outside of the regular box to expand myself, to learn more about myself. A lot of my enrichment of self-discovery come from listening to many of the books of Brené Brown. She gave me tools to understand myself, to understand why sometimes I connect with certain people, even though those people are hurting me the most, and why sometimes I behave a certain way. It helped me to change myself accordingly and to create a very healthy way for me to be with myself and connect with other people. I listened many times to Pamela Chatterton. One of her book that shifted a lot of shifting in me was When Things Fall Apart. Now remember, I have a lot of time on the road. I listen to a lot of books, trying to educate myself, to expand to who I am. No one else can give it to me. I am the responsible person to myself.
I think people need to hear that no matter what their circumstances are, no matter what their past, no matter their challenges, that they are responsible for their experience.
But my book is about the healing process, not of the pain. And also, I learned that for me, it was very, very important from the beginning that I made sure that I'm not shaming, not my father and not my ex, two people that hurt me the most. I am not there to shame them. You can still create a beautiful story and explain between the lines your pain without putting someone else down. And that's who I am. So that's another something that I would love to pass the message of like, we need to stop blaming other people if we want to move forward with our own healings. There is no
Mm.
need for it. Because it took me a snowstorm to be stuck in a dark cabin in Arizona near Sedona to get to a point where I found a pure understanding and compassion toward my ex-husband and my father. And today, all I have is love for them. I understand that their action was a result of their pain, of their trauma. And it's not a reflection of who I am. It's their pain, unfortunately. And unfortunately, I was the weak link, you can say it. I don't know how, but it's there. And today also I can see that all my struggle through my life is giving me the gift of appreciation of life and the resilience I have. I think it's how we look at life that give us the richness of it.
And I think you've touched on what I believe is one of the greatest gifts about getting older, this wisdom and this perspective that we
Yes,
just can't get to in our 20s, in our 30s, when we're younger. This
yes,
this kind of level of acceptance and peace around some of your past pain and traumas and dynamics
yeah,
that you're able to get to now. This
yeah,
kind of appreciation for life. I
yes,
think this is something I'm learning from interviewing women in their 50s, 60s, 70s, 80s. This is something we come into as we age, and I think it's an incredible thing.
yes. Today I see that the most painful relationship that I had that hurt me the most are the one that gave me the most beautiful gift. And a lot of it was the gift of how not to behave, how not
Mm.
to be. And that's a very important lesson that without that, I wouldn't be able to develop more myself, and develop more of the kind part of me that I would love to get more into the world and to myself, right? So
Mhm.
we tend to look at those painful experience from other people and not realizing the gift that they have all behind them if we're just willing to open them in a certain way,
Yeah.
and find the good lesson in them.
Yeah. And be ready to look at
Yes.
things differently.
I spent the first 50 years of my life floating as a survivor. Only when I rediscovered myself did I realize I was always flying high as a warrior. That just came to me, and I went to look to see where that came from, why that came into my writing from nowhere. And I went to look what is a warrior in a spiritual sense. What it takes to be a warrior is courage, bravery, honor, integrity, loyalty, dedication, resilience, self-discipline, wisdom, experience, empathy, and compassion. And it fell right. Warrior fell right because I'm not survivor anymore.
Mm.
It's even that I'm letting go of that. There is no more pain of hurt in me.
And I think there's so many examples in your book about how your courage has served you on the road in intense storms of nature,
Yes.
intense physical experiences of being lost in the wilderness. What are some of the challenges of living a nomadic life that have
There is a
built you?
It is not easy. Everything takes forever. I call like making coffee is like a ceremonial, it's like a 15 to 20 minutes until you heat up the water. Like it is also like an acceptance. The cold winter that I'm saying it's hard because it's not easy, but I don't see it as hard. I kind of thrive on that challenge. I like that simplicity. I love the minimalist life, the simple of things, of that create to me. I mean, when I went back in September back home, I donated 75% of my stuff. I don't need it. I'll be back and I will do the same thing. We'll clean again. There is no need. It is so wonderful to have very little. So, and there is fear. There is a lot of fear. But you know what? Sitting in front of the couch is more terrifying for me than experience fear on nature. That is for me. I also learned the difference between fear and intuition. I developed my intuition. Now my intuition is very sharp and I learned to trust it. I don't even question my intuition. Last week, I was traveling to Boulder and I stopped in a visitor center, like a rest area. And the bathroom was open in a building. It was 8 in the evening. I said, "Oh, great, I can go and wash myself." I entered the building, and very quickly, I felt so vulnerable. It felt very unsafe. I did not question myself. Pack my stuff and out. And
Mm.
a year before that, I was on a hike that scared me like to all my parts of my body was telling me to get out of there. But it was a fear. And I kept going and I kept going and I kept going. I went back 2 weeks ago and I redid that hike. It was important to me to go back and conquer that hike in a calm way. So I learned to see the difference between fear and intuition of like to listen to my gut, but also
Mm.
to let fear not to stop me, to guide me, to be gentle with it, to respect it, but not to put me to stop me to moving forward in my life.
Thank you for
Um,
sharing that distinction between the two. I think that's really, really
yes.
powerful. The
Yes.
difference between fear and intuition, and
Mhm.
how I always say when you're at your edge, it's normal to feel fear. It doesn't
Yes.
mean you shouldn't do something.
Yes.
But
No, we,
having the wisdom to know when the fear is warning you and when the
yes.
fear is inviting you to find a way to move through it.
I have to tell you, if anything, I lost a lot of faith in people through my marriage. I gained that very quickly and so beautifully. People are kind, people are wonderful. And the friendship that I created through this journey has been the most beautiful gift, more than the nature that I've
Mm.
been rewarded with. I have friends all over. It's beautiful. We're still in contact with a lot of them, and it's that is the beautiful gift for this journey for me, is the people.
Yeah. And you titled your book, I Am, a self-healing and self-discovery journey through fear and friendships. And
Yes,
in
yes.
your book, it's remarkable how many friends you make as you
Mm,
travel. There's something so powerful about being out in the world, that you're
yes,
there, you're available, your heart is open, your energy's open, you're open. I'm always aware when I'm sat behind my computer at home, the world's not going to come to me. I've got to take myself out into the world if I want
yes.
to meet people, if I want to experience it. And I think there's something so exposing, but also so available when you go out on the road, because you are constantly available for new encounters and new people.
And that's true. And I think it took me very quickly at the beginning to understand that it's up to me create the first connection, because I'm by myself. So I will go and I create. But I really learned this the last year and a half, the power of vulnerability. That in a sense, when I'm willing to open myself, I'm giving the other person the sense of like, you enough is the same as I am enough. I'm giving another person a window into my story and a trust. And then it's like open themselves to give me. So I think a lot of time when we meet people, we're very cautious about sharing who we are. And I'm willing to do that because I know I'm not different from the person next across from me. I may be willing regularly to share it, but there's no different. And the moment you do that, you kind of giving them a permission, or like a sense of like trust and comfort to do that. I'm very open and very honest with who I am. And I think people feel that very quickly when they meet me. But it's
Yeah.
like I have to say, like, all those people in so many ways been giving me so much opportunity to learn about myself. Sometimes it's a question that they will ask that will blow my mind. I'm like, oh wow, I never even thought about looking at life like that. So I think in the end is a two ways of learning from each other. And it will be great if we start being more comfortable with each other and being open and share ourselves, because I think that will unite us, and
Mm. And
will bring us to a better place.
yeah, I think this is the mark of a leader as well. And I hear that in the interactions, you're willing to go first, you're willing to be vulnerable and
Mhm.
open up. And that's the leader. You're leading the space that you're creating. You're saying,
Mm.
this is the space I'm creating, and I'm inviting you to join me here.
I never thought about it this way. So very good. Thank you. Now I feel even more comfortable.
We often think of leaders as people on stages commanding audiences of thousands, or
Yeah.
being interviewed on the major networks. But actually, I see you being a leader in your own life. Not only you're a pioneer for what you're doing for women in general, but specifically from your different backgrounds and your different life experiences. It's an unconventional choice to do what you're doing. I
Well,
think even being a digital nomad still is, but you're leading in your personal interactions as well.
yeah. I have to say, I'm not sure I'm a pioneer. Maybe I'm a pioneer in the fact that I'm willing to be vulnerable with my story. But I still feel, and I will, and if anything, I will encourage a lot just for everyone to start doing that, because I really feel that will bring us more together.
In your Substack, you share the phrase, I belong in the wild. When did
Yes.
this realization come to you?
As a child, definitely as a child. And I cannot explain it. In fifth grade, we had to do a project. What do you want to do when you grow up? Remember those projects when we have? I wanted to be Jen Godwell. I wanted to be with the chimpanzees and out in the wild. And for me, her life looked like the most amazing, wonderful things, that one person can live. So I know it's just a feeling that I always had in me, even as a very young child.
Mm. So I want to share this piece that you shared about your first trip after 6 days on the road. So this was very early on. This was
Yeah.
very early on, but it's like you had this big realization. And in your words, you said, I realized this was not just a vacation, but a life-altering adventure, requiring significant adjustments to make the most of it. By the end of the first week, I started to notice what I was contributing to myself, a clear awareness and an open mind to accept things as they are. Traveling 21,733 miles across the USA and Canada, I was living a dream, giving myself a chance to explore and grow. This is not just my travel story, it's a narrative of self-discovery, embracing life's challenges and transforming them into steps towards a wholehearted life.
Yeah.
I think this just sums up this incredible opportunity of going on the road, of living a nomadic life. And I think it's a dream, a seed that's within a lot of women. So I just want to say thank you for bringing this alive for us today.
Oh, you're welcome. It was a pleasure.
What advice would you have for women who are like, oh my gosh, this sounds amazing. I love what Gila is doing. What would you say to them?
Give yourself that chance. Give yourself that chance to see where it will take you. Don't think too much. Be wise about it. Like don't create yeah, right now I'm living everything I'm going. Be smart about it, but give yourself that chance. You deserve it. One thing I learned, and that was almost in the end of my last year, that I approach life in a sense that I don't look at things like if I start something, there is no what happened if I fail. Because no matter what I will do, whatever I experience, I will always will learn something from it about myself, about the situation. There was always a good lesson from it. So there is no failing involved in here. And I think the moment you take that components out of your life and you say, that is a dream, I want to give it a try, I want to give it a chance, see where it will take me, you have a better chance of finding the beauty of it.
Amazing. Such wise words. Thank you. And this
Thanks.
just comes from such a deep place inside you because this is what you've lived for nearly
Yes.
2 years now. You've lived this reality. It's embodied in every cell in your body, showing up to life in that way, making decisions in that way. I want to end with one last question I like to ask all my guests, and that is, what is true abundance for you now?
Very simple, I will say. Had nothing to do with money. It's more the spiritual feel that I want to feel myself. I'm looking for that little place in nowhere that I can live simple life, just have little. I feel like the less I have, the richer I am. If that makes sense. My richness come from the people in my life, the love that I have in my life, things that I did not have as a child. I have appreciation for a lot of, especially the love that I have now in my life, because I was lacking of it as a child, and some of it as an adult. So to have now all of it, that is my richness. The love, the simplicity, nature, just knowing that my boys are in a good place, independence, having, living their path, giving me the opportunity to be me and to have this chapter to myself. All those little things that, just enrich me.
Thank you so much for sharing that. And thank you for bringing your path and your story and your wisdom to the show. I really enjoyed being in conversation with you.
Same here. Thank you, Polly.
What a great episode. I don't know about you, but this had a lasting impression on me and has reconnected me to dreams of exploring the world, of going on the road. I always had a long-held dream of doing a photo documentary project whilst travelling around, and I know that Gila's stories reignited that in me. So I'm curious what was ignited within you today from the interview. You can DM me on social media or post a screenshot of this episode and share your biggest takeaway. Now, I am excited to announce that I'm hosting a webinar on July the 29th, and it is called From Stress and Overwhelm to Fun and Fulfillment. This is actually a replacement for the previous webinar, which due to technical difficulties, nobody could register for. That's life. What do we do as entrepreneurs? We climb back on and try again. So I actually know why it got delayed in energetic terms, because of the content is going to shift slightly, and I know you're going to love it. So you can register for the webinar with the link in the show notes. Again, that's happening on Monday the 29th. It's the last one for the summer. It's going to be full of high vibes. It's suitable for any woman entrepreneur who's looking to go to her next level but feels overwhelmed by everything there is to do in business and has perhaps gotten disconnected from the fun in life and business. That's for you. It's going to ignite you and energize you, and I can't wait to see you there. Bye for now. I'll be back again in the next 1 to 2 weeks with the next episode. Have a wildly abundant week.